of Akron, class 24. I'm crew 32, so we'll have to discuss that. You can't outdo crew 32. That was what Rima taught me, and Rima's one of my classmates that's on our club now. She's in the chamber as a board of directors and opportunity and inclusion committee. She's part of Athena Fierce. I knew what Athena was. I had to Google what Athena Fierce is, but it sounds like it's an awesome organization promoting women leaders. There are many other areas she's been involved in. She's run lots of awards. The most recent one was the 2020 Summit County Historical Society Woman of the Year for Integrity. So it's something that we need in this nation is integrity. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Teresa. Thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you. I first of all want to just say thank you to all of you guys for jumping on today to hear what I have to say. I appreciate the invitation. And also thank you for coming out, many of you, to help volunteer recently at the event we had in our parking lot to give away some very needed PPE to the community and to nonprofits and small businesses and churches. And it was exciting to be able to serve in that way, and then have you guys come out and serve alongside of us. That was really dynamic. So thank you so much for that. So as I hear you guys calling Dr. Rob, because I'm used to Dr. McGregor, but either way, I appreciate the introduction. And yes, we have sat next to each other at different events and have had great conversation. And so it was good to see you on the call today. And Julie Brandel, of course, is one of my board members at the Akron Urban League. And so I adore her, and she's a hard worker for our board. So again, thank you for the invitation. I don't know how much, people sort of are on this call know about the Akron Urban League, but we were founded nationally in 1910, and really was originally founded as a civil rights organization, and did a lot of work around voter rights and segregation and racism and discrimination and all those topics that we are still dealing with today. Your local Akron Urban League was founded in 1925, and so we're actually celebrating our 95th anniversary this year, which is really exciting. So we've tried to, sort of celebrate that in a number of different ways. And so we used to be located over on East Market Street. There's a body shop across the street called Brothers, and we were directly across the street from that, and that we were in that building for 50 years. Now it's a parking lot for the University of Akron. The original building was torn down, and we moved into this building, I believe in '07. And so this building, a capital campaign was launched, and Burnett Williams was the president and CEO at that time. And so through lots of hard work and dedication, this building was built, and for the Akron Urban League. And so that is where we have sort of resided since then. So, the focus for us in our old building, I think for many years, I refer to it as swim and gym. And the reason that I say that is because, for many years, there was really no place for the Black community to go to socialize and be together and hang out and feel safe. And so the Urban League was that place. And I've run into so many people over the years who have, said, oh, I remember when I swam in that swimming pool. They had a huge swimming pool in that old building. And that was just where a lot of great memories were made for a lot of people in the community. And so once that sort of, I think when the swim and gym part, it was sort of an important part of what we did, but we also, I think, at some point had a realization that the Urban League really needed to play a much larger role in the community. And the National Urban League was headed in that direction as well. So we started to look at programmatic things around education and jobs. And so that really became a huge focus, making sure people got their high school diploma, and just trying to help launch people on a road to self-sufficiency. And so a lot of our work focused on that. And now, of course, in our new building, we have added a number of different programs. And so, we, of course, will always stick to our core mission of, trying to transform people's lives for the better. which I think, just listening to the lead into me speaking to you, it sounds like that's a lot of what the Rotary is about as well. So, just supporting the community, doing what's right by people and encouraging people, empowering people. And that happens in lots of different ways. So at the Urban League, it's around workforce development. So we work with a lot of employers to really identify jobs for people that may be looking for work. And these may be people that are living in generations of poverty, or it may just be people who, either pre-COVID or post-COVID got laid off. They may be underemployed, so they've got, a great skill set, but they haven't been able to land a job that, really pays them fairly for what they have in skills. And so, we really take sort of a holistic approach to that. Wherever people's needs are, we try to step in and meet that need. Now, one of the things that come with that, of course, oftentimes when you're working with people who, it may be a single mom, it may be, an older person who feels like, now I'm 50 or 60, but I still want to work and no one wants to hire me because of my age. Those conversations come up a lot. We also really try to look at, what other sort of support services might someone need? Is transportation a barrier? Is daycare a barrier? Do you need to go back and just maybe get a little bit of schooling, a certificate, or learn a trade, or whatever those things are? So in addition to, working directly with employers, we also try to meet the need of what's keeping that person from moving forward. And so that's a lot of what we do around workforce development. And then, the Urban League has a entrepreneurship program. And again, when you sort of look at what are the needs of people, there's so many people that are, either just have an idea that they want to start a business, or they really have launched that business and they've been operating it for a number of years, but for whatever reason, they can't seem to take it to sort of the next level. And so the Urban League works with minority businesses in particular, and it can be a manufacturing business, it can be in health, it can be a barbershop or a beauty salon, whatever that person's goal and dream is, we try to help them realize that dream, help them find capital. If they need to buy new equipment, we try to help them if they're trying to find a space. And so again, a lot of, we've got a great team here who sort of works on those things with our community. And we primarily serve Summit County, but with our entrepreneurship program, we actually do a little bit in about 9 counties. And Richland County being probably the most activity aside from Summit County. But we do have more of a regional approach around the entrepreneurship program. And so, like everyone else, COVID hit. And so, we lost all of our access to children. So we did have to suspend one of our education programs, which was STEAM, because we did that program with the kids who are at the Helen Arnold Elementary School. And that school is actually connected directly to the Urban League. And so, you just walk through a hallway and pick up the kids and bring them over to the Urban League. And so that was a great partnership and collaboration with Akron Public Schools that, we definitely will get back to. So the Urban League, as an organization, it's just, been sort of in a leadership role for many, many years around the issues of race and around the issues of discrimination and biases and all those things that, may keep someone from maybe moving forward in their career. Everyone has been impacted by what's happened recently in the news with George Floyd and with, again, the COVID-19. It really has sort of put many people on a different trajectory than any of us sort of thought we would be on. But, what I say to my team all the time is, we have to pivot and we have to do a reset because the needs for people always increase in crisis. They don't decrease. And so as an organization that is a service to the community, we always are looking for a way to make sure that we stay in front of the people who depend on us. And so like this Zoom call today, we've been doing a lot of virtual. But what I have learned in maybe even a little bit surprising is that people really just prefer to be around people. And I know some jobs have required people to work remotely, for their career. But I was on a call yesterday with the CEO of the Girl Scouts. And we sort of were having that conversation that how challenging it is when people sort of really don't have the option to connect with another human being. And, you know, we've all felt it where you walk into a room, and I'm a hugger. And so you walk into a room and you just want to start hugging everybody, you know, and you can't shake hands, and you're just like, hi, how are you? You know, and it just feels like this dead space, like I really should be hugging you right now. So it really has changed, you know, the way that we interact with each other as human beings. So you really have to sort of be creative and find ways to make sure that people still feel supported, and that they're supported in a different way. So, you know, we have had our, you know, some challenges in doing that with our clients, and, you know, trying to deal with them more email and text, and, you know, trying to get them on virtual. But, you know, nothing can ever replace, you know, a human touch, and a smile and a hug and a, you know, I mean, we've done the air hugs, and, you know, I literally have been standing in front of someone who was crying, and I'm like, I need to hug you, you know. And so we, you know, it's human touch is just so important. So so yeah, we're continuing to do the work that the Urban League is known for. We are pressing as hard as we can. We're looking for more ideas. I know Doug and I have a meeting coming up. I'm going to pick his brain. Doug and I go way, way back. Our kids went to school together. And so he's just always been a huge support of anything that I've done professionally. And so I definitely am looking forward to hearing what he has to say. So I think in times like this is where, you know, it really sort of showcases how much we really do depend on each other, and how collaborations and partnerships, and, you know, not sort of putting ourselves in fiefdoms, you know, that we really have to unite and figure out how do we sort of share the resources, you know, to make sure, because at the end of the day, this is about helping people. And so I always, as a leader, I remind my team of that all the time, that if we're sitting around boardroom tables in fancy suits, making decisions for people who are not in a position to move themselves forward, if we don't take that seriously, we're in the wrong jobs. And so we've always got to be thinking about how is that decision going to impact somebody down the road. And as long as we sort of keep that humanity part of what we do front and center, it motivates us to then, you know, do the stuff that we have to do. You know, I always say no money, no mission. And so, you know, raising the money, pushing the messages out there in marketing, watching the finances, you know, we still got to do all those business things behind the scenes, but we're doing all of that to help people. And that's from, you know, cradle to grave. I mean, that's everybody. And so that's something that, again, for me is really important as a leader. And so the award that I got around integrity was just so important to me, because that's something that I've just tried to lead with for all of the years that I've been in the workforce, and I just have been unwilling to compromise that. And you know, if that means, you know, stepping out of a position, then that's what I would do. So I am thrilled to answer any questions you guys might have. But hopefully, you know, if you don't follow the Urban League on social media, I encourage you to please do that and sign up for our e-newsletter. We are actually going to be launching a new initiative. Actually, August 28th would have been our big gala. So 2 weeks from now, we would have been having a big event at John S. Knight, but we've canceled two of our major events this year, which certainly, you know, has impacted us financially, but we're looking to do some other things that will help fill that gap. So know that your Akron Urban League is out here working hard. I've got, you know, Julie is on here, and I just have a fantastic board of directors. Teresa Carter just finished up her term as president in May, and now Alan Rothenbucher, who is a partner with Benish Law Firm, is our new board president. And we've just got a strong, engaged board that believes in this organization. And so we couldn't do what we do without them. So thank you, Julie, on behalf of the board, since you're on the call as a board member. And so I will stop there. I know you wanted me to make sure I allowed time for questions. And so I will, is this a good time to pause for questions or? Okay, perfect. Thank you, everybody.
Not seeing any questions in the chat room yet. If does anybody have one or wants to speak up online?
I'll speak up, Teresa. Thanks so much for joining us today. And helping us with that last project, but I'm just curious, in your position within the Urban League, what are the top 3 unmet needs that we should start to be creative in thinking of ways that we could collaborate? Akron Rotary has focused so long on one of our near dear projects with the Rotary Camp for Special Needs Kids, but would like to look for what the next big Rotary camp is that we could do to impact Akron.
You know, one of the things that we really are trying to get our footing on is, again, the workforce. I mean, when you think about the amount of people that have lost their jobs and that, you know, those jobs are gone permanently. Some people will ultimately be called back, you know, maybe those that are on furlough, but there's so many people that, you know, this has sort of devastated their lives. They can't pay their bills. They, you know, probably worrying about feeding their children. I mean, just imagine, you know, if you knew, you weren't sure when you knew when you opened the refrigerator, you know, there was going to be, you know, a bottle of water in there, maybe that's it. I mean, it's, you know, with the schools being closed, you know, the worry of whether or not the kids are eating. And so I would say, you know, the community and what I've sort of heard out there and what our experience has been is that the community is really sort of taking a shift to say, you know, how do we sort of address that, you know, situation where it's just going to be thousands of people without work, you know, in Summit County even. And so that's something that we're addressing. You know, the other thing is the racial divide. I mean, you know, there is a racial divide in Summit County, and it's no secret, and the statistics have sort of bore that out. And so the work of the Urban League becomes very critical. I can tell you since the whole, you know, George Floyd incident, I mean, the demand on our organization has gone through the roof, you know, and it's just, my calendar is, it's nothing like I've ever experienced, you know, in 40 years of working full time. I mean, I've never experienced anything like this. And I was young enough, I was probably about 10 years old, but I was, you know, I was born and raised in Washington, D.C. And so I was in D.C. when Martin Luther King was assassinated. And I just remember that experience, you know, and the tension and just the unrest. And so, you know, I think this, you know, sort of is similar in a way that, you know, people just want to figure out, you know, how to stop talking about it and do something about it. And so the Urban League, you know, being sort of not the only, but certainly the largest organization in Summit County that really focuses on, you know, minorities and, you know, advocacy and that sort of thing. Those are things that I think organizations like the Rotary has to really take a serious look at and say, you know, sort of where are we in that space? And is that a space that's important for us authentically? You know, so that would be something that I would definitely say is a need to give some attention to.
Thank you, Teresa. David, you have some other
Yeah,
questions?
well, yes. Well, Julie Brandel kind of, I think, asked similar to you. Besides the hugs, what are you finding is the biggest need from community partners? Which, you know, I guess you're asking for involvement. Is there anything specific from the community that you could see the community partners helping you with?
Well, one of the things that we're trying to do, and we've over the years have used volunteers, you know, sporadically. One of the things we're trying to do is really formalize our volunteer program so that we really can reach out for the assistance when we need it. There's so many people in this community that are just waiting and that want to help. And, you know, we got a taste of that in 2 major ways. So I will have been in my role here at the Urban League 1 year, September 3rd. So I'm very new to coming back to the Urban League. I did spend 2 years here back in 2005 working with Burnett Williams, but now that I'm back in the CEO role, I want to make sure that we engage the community in a intentional way. And what I have learned over the years working in nonprofit is it's got to be a win-win relationship. So, you know, 2 of the things that we did, of course, before we realized we were going to cancel our gala, one of the things I kept hearing from the staff was, you know, how hard it was to plan this big gala, plus keep up with all their other work. And I said, but we've got volunteers in the community that would love to help us with that, whether it's the marketing and helping us, develop a budget and, helping with the hall decorating. And I mean, there's something everybody likes, there's something for everybody. And so I just started making phone calls to people that, I knew would love to help out. And we ended up with about 25 people that were making up our volunteer committee. And then, the hard decision came to actually cancel the event. But, and then we had the PPE giveaway, and, we ended up with about 80 volunteers. And so that demonstrated to me that that people will show up if you invite them, first of all, then give them something meaningful to do that they really feel like they're giving back to the community. The other challenge that we always have is resources. I mean, my strategy coming into this position was my first 2 years I would focus on two things: stabilization and capacity. And so stabilization includes the financial situation of the organization, anything that's sort of, the reputation, the credibility, and then, the capacity of, do we have the right team in place? How do we move forward unless we have the right talent? And that person with talent wants to move forward, because you guys all know, you all are professionals. You can have all the talent in the world, but if it's not a fit for the culture and you don't really care, as a leader or a supervisor, you would rather have that person move on, because it can become, toxic to your organization. And you probably have heard that saying that culture eats strategy for breakfast. It's about the culture. And so for right now, I am really trying to make sure that we've got the right team in place and that our organization is stable. And then, and that takes finances, to do that. So we are really upping our fund development strategy. And so, I mean, I guess I would say those are the things that sort of are our focus right now. Ultimately, we need to do a strategic plan. And that was actually in the plan, before COVID hit, but that's something that our board would definitely circle back to at some point. So.
That's great. Just a follow up from me on that is with your events and your request for volunteerism, do you do that through Facebook or just through direct contact through your board members and members from the group?
We generally have done it through just contacts that we have, word of mouth. We'll put it out to our board, and our board will then reach out to people that they know. And even with the PPE, I mean, we had a database of people that we knew could use this. And then I reached out to the Greater Akron Chamber and said, how do I get to the faith community to make sure the churches know that we've got this, these items to give away? How do I reach to, we have our own database of small businesses. And so whether it's that sort of thing or the volunteers, we go every which way. Wherever we think people are, we'll push it out and invite. We haven't put it on Facebook yet for volunteers. And it's funny with the PPE, I'll tell you, this was funny. We decided to sort of control it and reach out in our own, ways with people that we already have in our database, because we only had so much PPE. And then folks screenshotted that and they started putting it out on every social media site, and it just went sort of out of control. And then the first day that we had it was super, super, super busy. And then the second day it rained, and it was like people decided they weren't going to come get it because it rained. So we were out there from 11 to 3, and at 1 o'clock, I told all the volunteers, I said, start pushing this out on social media. Just start tagging everybody you know. And it was interesting. Within 20 minutes, cars started pulling into the Urban League parking lot because they were all seeing it on social media. I mean, that was sort of so interesting to watch the power of social media make a change that quick in 20 minutes.
That's fantastic. So we have a question from Tim Miller. With COVID disproportionately affecting people of color, how do you see the Urban League stepping in to help those most affected?
I think one of the things that we have tried to do is just, provide education and push information out there on how people can protect themselves. Certainly giving away masks and providing hand sanitizer. Again, I always say, we sort of, people who can buy things take for granted. When I worked at the food bank, I was there for 4 years, and I did a lot of tours, and we of course had hundreds of volunteers. And I used to say to the volunteers, you know, think about before you pass judgment on someone. I would use this example. I would say, you know, let's just get ready in the morning. You get out of bed and it's time to get ready. And so you go and you take your shower, and you've got your special shower gel. And then you've got your face soap, because you don't want to use that shower gel on your face because, you know, it might make you break out. And then you've got a different shampoo. And then after that, you put on your conditioner. And then you get out the bathtub and you slather yourself with lotion or body butter or whatever it is. Then you spray on a little cologne. And so when I would start saying that, I would say, you know, and that doesn't even include any makeup. Think about the cost that we spend just so we can take a shower and get out the house and go to work. And when you think about someone living at or below the poverty level, you know, that's why the food bank came up with sort of an all-purpose soap. With that soap, you could wash your face, your body, your clothes, your dog, you know, because think about all the different soaps and products that we buy to take care of ourselves, you know. And so that's what I always try to think about for the Urban League. How can we push information out and educate people so that they can be better positioned to, first of all, not get sick, you know, but also encourage them to seek out medical care, because oftentimes, you know, especially in the minority community, there's sort of a trust factor where you feel like you're not going to be taken seriously. And so you just try to handle it on your own at home. And that's often, you know, to their detriment.
So I have another question from Jack Herrig, one of our veterans. Do you have programs directed toward veterans?
We do not have programs directed specifically towards veterans, but, you know, anyone that comes to the Urban League for services receive services. And, you know, that may be something that would be a nice collaborative relationship down the road as we sort of build out our programs, but we do not at this time have something specifically directed towards veterans.
And one more question here as we're getting close to the end of the meeting. Dan Riemschneider asked, where do most of your resources come from? If government, has that changed with COVID?
We are very nicely supported by Summit County with some of our programs, which are contractual programs. And so those are some of our workforce development programs, our career pathways program. And so we work with 16-year-olds on up to help identify work situations. And then we fundraise like any other nonprofit. We write grants, we meet with foundations, individuals like yourself. You know, we have to do traditional fundraising and seek out those dollars that we need to operate our organization. So,
have you seen a drastic cut in any of your funding sources due to COVID? Sounded like I was saying unfortunately, but what I'm saying is fortunately for us, we have not seen a drastic cut. We have really sort of turned up the intensity on, you know, writing grants and meeting with our donors, calling them, explaining, you know, our situation. And so our donors have been very supportive of the work that we're doing here, and they've continued to support us in a financial way. So we've been very blessed in that way and I don't take that for granted. Good.
Great. Well, Teresa, David, thank you so much for